So, today we're going to talk about a true modern marvel, Singapore Airlines' incredible flight from Singapore all the way to New York. It is, by far, the longest commercial flight in the world, a real feat of aviation. But the real story here isn't just about the distance, it's all about the money.
Which brings us to the central mystery, the question that just baffles everybody. How on earth can a flight that stretches over 9,500 miles, staying up in the air for nearly 19 hours straight, actually turn a profit? It seems impossible.
Yeah, you gotta understand, this is so much more than just a long trip. This thing is one of the most complex, most daring business cases in the entire airline industry. It's a massive financial puzzle. So, let's start piecing it together.
So who's the hero of this story? Well, it's a very specific tool for a very specific job. The Airbus A350-900 Ultra Long Range. We're talking about a lightweight, incredibly fuel-efficient thoroughbred of a plane. A beast that was literally built for this exact mission.
All right, so if we want to figure out how they make money, first we have to talk about the pain. We've got to crack open the books and really stare at the mountain of costs it takes to run just one of these flights, one way. And trust me, the numbers are just staggering.
First up, the plane itself. Leasing one of these specialized jets can run you up to $1 million a month. So if we break that down for our single 19-hour journey, you're looking at a cost of $25,000 just for the plane.
Okay, now for the big one. The single biggest cost on the books, fuel, or as people in the industry like to call it, liquid gold. To make it across the globe, this flight guzzles a mind-blowing 124,000 gallons of jet fuel.
And what does that actually cost? Well, that massive amount of fuel translates to a bill of over $300,000 for one trip. The entire operation is basically a high-stakes bet on the price of oil. A tiny little swing in the market can completely wipe out any potential profit.
All right, next up, you need people to fly the plane, right? And not just any crew. We're talking 2 full teams of pilots, plus a highly trained cabin crew. Their premium pay for flying this ultra long-haul route comes out to around $30,000.
And believe me, the costs don't stop there. They just keep piling on. Landing at a major hub like Newark? That's not cheap. Flying through the airspace of over a dozen different countries? Also not cheap. Then you add in ground handling, all the catering, maintenance. The bills just keep on coming.
So, let's add it all up. When you tally everything, the total cost to get this one plane from Singapore to New York is somewhere around $405,000. Which of course brings us right back to our main question. How in the world do they make any money on this thing?
Okay, so with all those costs, how is this possible? Well, this is where the magic happens. This is the secret sauce. The answer is in a brilliant, totally counterintuitive strategy. See, it's not about how many people they fly, it's all about who they fly.
And here it is. This is the big reveal. Your typical long-haul jet is just packed to the gills with hundreds of economy seats, right? Well, this flight has 0. None. Not a single one. Instead, they focus exclusively on high-margin, high-yield passengers.
So the entire plane, the whole thing, is split into just 2 cabins, 67 lie-flat seats in business class and 94 seats in premium economy. And that's it. This wasn't an accident. It's a very deliberate choice to squeeze the maximum possible revenue out of every square foot of the aircraft.
And let's see how that strategy actually pays off. Let's run the numbers on a pretty typical, realistic flight. Let's say you fill 60 of those business class seats at an average price of $6,000 a pop. That's $360,000 right there. Then you fill 90 premium economy seats at $3,000 each. That's another $270,000. For a grand total potential revenue of $630,000.
But here's the catch. All that incredible revenue, it totally depends on having a full, or at least a nearly full, plane. Just a couple of no-shows in business class could completely erase the profit. And that brings us to the final, critical piece of this puzzle, the high-stakes art of overbooking.
For most flights, overbooking is just a part of the business, a calculated risk. But for this flight, with these razor-thin margins, it's a completely different story. It becomes a financial necessity. Every single empty premium seat is a financial disaster.
Think about the airline's revenue teams. They're not just booking agents, they are basically data scientists. They pore over enormous amounts of historical data to predict exactly how many people are likely to not show up. Then, they oversell the cabin by that tiny, precise amount, all with one goal:
pushing that final passenger load to a perfect 100%.
And make no mistake, this is a total high-wire act. If they get their math wrong and have to bump a full fare-paying business class passenger from this flagship route, well, the financial cost and the PR nightmare would be just enormous.
So after all that, it's time for the final verdict. Let's put the insane costs right up against that high-yield revenue and see where we land. This is the final tally.
And here it is, the final balance sheet. On a really good day, with a perfectly full flight, you take that $630,000 in revenue, you subtract the $405,000 in costs, and you are left with a potential gross profit of $225,000.
Think about that. $250,000 in profit from just one flight. But, and this is a big but, that's the potential profit. It requires absolute, total perfection in execution, from managing fuel costs to making sure every last one of those expensive seats is filled. And that, right there, is the key takeaway. You have to understand this isn't just another route on a map. It's a complex, incredibly daring financial mission where the laws of physics and the harsh principles of finance have to align perfectly for it to even have a chance of succeeding. So all of this leaves us with a really big question, a final thought to chew on. Every single one of these flights is a tightrope walk between a $250,000 profit on one side and a catastrophic loss on the other. So is this ultra-premium, high-stakes model the future of long-haul travel? Or is it, at the end of the day, just a gamble that's a little too far?